Hey.
Man, what's the knowledge? It's your boy Demon. We back. And today, ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk about this news that has been unfolding over the past week down in Ecuador. For those who are unaware, a national emergency has been declared in the country of Ecuador by the president and the government. As of Tuesday, January the 9th, armed men stormed a national news broadcasting station and held the broadcasters and journalists inside there hostage. They claim to have bombs. You can see them being armed with shotguns and different various firearms. And not only was that the spark of the national emergency down there, but as of this point, throughout this past week, we've seen different videos of the Ecuadorian military going in and apprehending different gang members on the streets. And we've seen car bombings happen. We've seen gang members out on the street en masse trying to take over the country. So I just want to dive a bit deeper into this story and give my thoughts and opinions around it. And I also want to hear from you guys down in the comments. Now, before I go too far into the video, allow me to read this or a few snippets from this Fox News article. According to Fox News, Ecuador's president declares internal armed conflict as the U.S. Embassy is monitoring threats to safety of Americans down in the country. The messages emerged Tuesday as masked gunmen took over a television studio in Ecuador, pointed their weapons at terrified staff and taking them hostage during the live broadcast. Ecuador has been rocked by violent unrest following the Los Choneros criminal organization leader Jose Adolfo Macias escaped from prison in Guayaquil on Sunday. On January 9th, after numerous attacks by organized criminal gangs across Ecuador against private, public, and government institutions, President Noboa declared the existence of an internal armed conflict, aka a state of emergency, and authorized military action against these groups, the U.S. Embassy and Consulate in Ecuador said. The Ministry of Education has announced that all schools will operate virtually through January 12th, and the Ministry of Labor has recommended telework wherever possible. As such, the embassy has authorized telework for mission employees through January 12th. The United States Embassy and Consulate in Ecuador and monitoring reports of criminal activity and other threats to safety and security of U.S. citizens in Ecuador. And so at this point, after reading just the few top snippets of that article, we are a few days removed from when this article was written and a few days removed from, the initial attacks, happening on January 9th. I'm a bit late to this topic, but it is what it is. And at this point, we've seen it's been a lot of things going on in Ecuador. I mean, at this point right now in time, they're still battling this basically attempted coup, I would have to say, down in their country. I've seen various clips and videos of there have been videos where gang members are being arrested. The military has come in and handled certain situations, but I've also seen videos of gang members blowing up cars, taking hostages, and I'm not talking like one or two hostages. They have like a room full of hostages, and this is crazy to see, I guess, for an American. But in places like Ecuador, Venezuela, parts of Mexico, which is at this point, Mexico is a country that has been completely overrun and taken over by cartels and criminal organizations. This is crazy to see for me. You get me? And just as an American, I feel fearful of these things. Not only because, it's just human nature and this is bad to see, but just in recent years, this past year in 2023 specifically, man, this in conjunction with everything that's been going on, the border crisis has been like the main thing that has been worrying me, right? We've seen different migrants of. I heard a stat the other day where it was like 17 different countries. There are migrants from 17 different countries coming up through the border. And I made a video. I uploaded it like the previous week. If you have not seen it, go check that out. It's addressing the migrant crisis. I didn't go too far into depth with it, but I did sound off on it and give my opinion. I would like to hear you guys' opinion on just, the open border policy that our government has in place right now. But listen, man, this is very sad to see. You go online and you see a snippet of a guy holding a 16-inch shotgun to a lady's face, throwing up gang signs, talking about we're taking over. You get what I'm saying? Like, this is weird degeneracy that we're seeing on a mass level, not even just in Ecuador, but in a lot of Central American and South American countries as well. Like, this is crazy to see, but at the same time, these are a lot of the people who are coming up through our border right now as I speak to you guys. So I just want you to keep that in mind. I mean, listen, I brought up the numbers on my last video, but I'm just going to say it again. At least 300,000, documented sightings of undocumented, unknown, illegal immigrants have come up through the border, or at least came to the border in the past year of 2023. 300,000. I want you to just think about those numbers. Think about how many people that's. And I was listening to Joe Rogan, and he was like, the amount of people who've come up through the border, right, in terms of just millions of people, there are more people who've come through the border than 5 different states in the United States. You feel me? Like, now, of course, this Joe Rogan, he could just be, talking out his ass, but listen, I don't doubt him on it. You get me? Like, and when I say 300,000, that was like for that 1 month we had seen 300,000, right? That didn't take account for the entire year of 2023. That was just that 1 month where like records were being broken on a daily basis, right? So realistically, there have been millions of undocumented illegal immigrants coming up through the southern border of the United States. But back to this Ecuador situation, man. I bring it up and I talk about it today because I get the feeling, and I just want people to understand, like, if you're American and you're listening to this, or even if you live in the UK or any Western civilization that is considered a first world country, in contrast to Ecuador or Central America, which are considered third world countries. If you live in these in this type of society, in Western society, I just want you guys to know and to keep in mind that this could very well happen to us, right? I mean, in past years in America specifically, we've seen civil unrest. I mean, historically, America isn't impartial to civil unrest. Things like the Boston Tea Party have taken place. Different riots. During the Civil Rights era, different riots had taken place. Different movements have, come and gone throughout this nation. We've seen it. So I'm not gonna say we're not used to that, but I don't think we've ever seen anything on this scale of like just a known criminal organization going head up with the military, going head up with, you feel me, the government in the U.S., right? And actually going to a news station or any TV broadcasting station and holding hostages. I don't think we've seen it. If we have, somebody please let me know down in the comments. But I think with the events that have been transpiring the past couple of years, in the next 5 to 10 years, we could definitely start to see events like this unfold and become more common in the United States. You get me? Like, we may not be seeing it now. We have been seeing, looting and rioting. Like I said earlier, we've seen that type of thing before. You feel me? It is the cost of living becomes higher and more unobtainable for the masses as resources become more scarce. We will see degeneracy unfold. It's just inevitable. That's just the nature of man. When when resources become scarce, when you can't go get food and you can't go get water, people, they tend to show the darker sides of humanity. And it's unfortunate have to be that it has to be that way, but I think that's just reality at this point. If you haven't learned that about the nature of man and mankind and the nature of people at this point in 2023, either you don't want to know about it, or you just neglect to know. You choose to live in delusion, is what I want to say. And it really is unfortunate to see this happening in Ecuador, but I have to bring this up, and I have to show this example, because it could easily be us at any point right now. It could easily be us. I mean, there have been a lot of weird occurrences happening on a government level, like just institutionally, like different institutions in America have been attacked from various angles. If we want to go the cybersecurity route, like I said in my World War III video, like, the colonial pipeline hack that happened, a lot of people don't want to talk about that. A lot of people saw that come and they saw it go, and I think a lot of people still don't even know about that happening. Like, the biggest, natural gas pipeline on the East Coast, responsible for getting gas from all the way up from Rhode Island all the way down to Texas, had been hacked and held for ransom by some Russian-based hackers, quote unquote, because they say they were based in Russia, but of course we don't know who these fucking people are. But listen, people forget that happened, or people just don't know that happened, and that was just one facet of our infrastructure. What happens when they say, okay, we want to turn all the lights off now? A lot of people don't understand how quickly, the dark side of humanity can show itself out here in the masses. Like, if they turn off all the power, bro, within one day, I would have to say within one day, people are going to start looting, people are going to start robbing and killing within one day. Like, there are people out here in the environment who cannot go one day without continuous power. They can't go, whatever the reason may be. Maybe they need refrigeration for their medication. Maybe they need, I don't know, they need some resource that is needed for them for the power to stay on, is what I'm saying. Like, something's gonna happen. Like, when that first day crack, bro, is gonna be crazy. But imagine how dire the situation is when you're in day 4 of no power, right? And only because, people can survive without power. We've done it for millennia. But the point being is, we're so accustomed now at this point in time of relying on the things we take for granted. A good water filtration system, a good water system, a good, electric system, just living off things that we naturally would not have had back in like the 1600s, electricity, lights, power, heat, water, filtration, access to medicine, access to food. You feel me? Imagine how many people go out to Walmart to get their food. Like, nobody knows how to run and operate a farm anymore. We don't have cattle of our own. We don't have chickens of our own. We don't have different crops that we need to sustain life. We don't. And even if we did, even if we had the seeds, it would take time to plant them. And even at that point, we don't have the agricultural know-how to keep that and make that something that is sustainable. So, it's just food for thought, man. It's really just food for thought. It's crazy to see, bro. It's crazy to see, like, this could happen. This could literally happen at any point. And just to, like, bring up some other instances where I'm going to make a video on this, but even now, the immigration situation in Texas has become so dire and we can't even rely on our own armed forces to do it. So the state of Texas on a state level has to rely on their own Coast Guard to come in and secure the border. Like, think about how crazy that is. Over the past 6 months, they've been trying to figure this situation out. and it's come to a point to where, okay, Border Patrol isn't enough. The government isn't sending in any of their Coast Guard or National Guard. You have to rely on the Coast Guard on the state level. And I think the agenda or they're trying to get out, they're trying to push this narrative of a civil war is brewing in America, bro. And I wouldn't say they're wrong. I mean, realistically speaking, these type of events would be the type of events that would cause a state to secede from the country. Like, imagine if you're in Texas, you live in Texas right now, and every day or every couple of days or at least once or twice a week, there are illegal immigrants. You own a ranch and there are illegal immigrants. You don't know who they are. You don't know their allegiances. They're fighting age males. They're children. They are women. And they're just casually strolling across your privately owned property. You get what I'm saying? And not only that, maybe you have a ranch, maybe you have cattle, you have livestock, you have different crops. Now you have to deal with people, hurting your livelihood. They may want to steal some of your cattle. They may want to take some of your crops. They may want to destroy something. Maybe they don't even take anything. Maybe they just decide to destroy something. You get me? It's weird. And that type of situation is definitely happening and has been happening in Texas specifically. And I bring up Texas a lot because I think a bulk of the issue is happening in Texas. But this is happening along the entire southern border. Like, they have this same problem in Arizona. They have this same problem in California. This is not going to slow down anytime soon. And just from like a tactical and a logistical standpoint, like, states like California are known for being an agricultural center, meaning a lot of our food in the nation that we do get from U.S., if we're not outsourcing where we get our food from, like China and things like that, bulk of the food comes from places like, California. It comes from places like Texas because that land is just so rich and right for planting different fruits and vegetables and housing different livestock. They're just the right and prime locations for that. So for this problem to be going on in these places, it's a bad thing, bro. It's a bad thing. Like, I think we're starting to see a bit of the writing on the wall when it comes to this situation specifically, and it's not gonna be a good thing, bro. When people can't eat and people can't get their water and the power goes out and it doesn't come back on, that's when we're going to start to see the bad side of human nature. That's when we're going to see the depraved and the degenerate, tendencies of people come to light. We've already been kind of seeing it in certain states that, allow these looters and cabooters and whoever you want to call them, they allow them to do what they do. They allow them to go into the Nike outlet and snatch everything off the coat rack and, don't do anything outright. Whether for whatever reason, maybe they don't have the manpower to enforce the laws. Maybe they don't have the manpower to go out and apprehend these people. But listen, it's going to be a bad and ugly time when the hammer falls on America, bro. And hopefully it doesn't, but I think it is in the next 10 years. But when the hammer falls on America, bro, it's going to be an ugly scene. And so if you really think about it, like, civilizations collapse all the time. Historically speaking, they collapse all the time. But when it happens to America, this will be the first time that we see it happen to a first world country. And I can only imagine what that really looks like. Like, if you think about it, Americans, we have like 6 firearms to every like man, woman, and child in this nation. Imagine the chaos that will ensue in America. Like, we have technology, we have different means to, cause violence and create violence. We already see violence in these nations like Ecuador when they have firearms, but it's not as readily available to the everyday person, right? So imagine when it's just a mass, like, it's just a great, it's just more firearms and different weaponry and different like access to different armor and things of that nature, we're gonna start to see the society is gonna collapse, and then factions are gonna form, and that's gonna look very ugly in this first world country, bro. It already looks ugly in third world countries like Ecuador and Venezuela and Mexico, but bro, it's gonna be painfully ugly when it happens in a place like America or the UK. So, I'm not gonna waste too much of you guys' time, bro. I don't want to be on any fear mongering shit or nothing like that, bro. I just want to bring this up to you guys today so that you're aware. I want to bring this up to you guys today so that you start to prepare. We don't have a definite timeline on this. Honestly, we don't even know if it's gonna collapse. All I'm saying is right now in this specific time frame, at this point in time in history, it's looking a little bit too fishy outside, bro. The situation is looking a little bit too dire. It's looking a bit too desperate. Not even in America, but just around the world. You get me? You have conflicts in Ukraine. You have conflicts with Israel and Hamas. We've been getting involved with Yemen again. We're over there getting attacked by Yemeni Houthis, and we're sending strikes over there. And now there was another video and article showing how there were just droves of people in Yemen all together chanting like, fuck it, let's have that world war. America's gonna pay. So it's like, bro, we have enemies at all sides. Feel me? We have enemies in the southern border. We have enemies over there in Yemen. We have enemies. We already basically said Russia is the enemy. We already said China is the enemy. And China has been encroaching on Taiwan slowly but steadily, in this past 2-3 years. I think it's only a matter of time before something major happens. But listen, man, it's your boy Demon. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments. I don't mean to scare y'all with these videos. I just want you to be informed. I just want you to think about your family and think about, how everything is going right now, bro. Please be safe out here. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't be dangerous. So stay safe. Stay dangerous. Think about your surroundings. Stay locked in. And I'm going to see you guys in the next one. Peace.